Good evening. So before I go ahead and fit the Hite Rite, there is one more step that I want to carry out so that I know what height I want the saddle and what height I want the Hite Rite. And that is to fit the cranks and pedals. So the cranks and pedals that I've got for this bike are the Sram Rival 1 with a 42 tooth narrow wide chain ring. So yeah, I picked that up for 60 quid from Facebook Marketplace, and it's in brand new condition. I don't have a torque wrench that will fit the tool that I need for the bottom bracket, but the bottom bracket I'll be using is the Shimano BB 60 with this tool. So I know that I need to be going to like 42 Newton meters or something like that. So I'm going to be really working quite hard to put some force through it and get it tight. This is 24mm on both sides because it's a Shimano Hollowtech II bottom bracket. So as I mentioned in my first video on this Trash or Bash build, I will be using this Shim. Now this converts the non-drive side from 22mm that you get with the GXP. So that end that's behind the black cap there, that is actually 22mm. So this Shim will fit within the bottom bracket cup on the non-drive side, and that will allow me to use a Hollowtech II bottom bracket with a Sram GXP style spindle. So yeah, fingers crossed that that works. And the pedals that I'm going to be using are these Diamondback 4L. So I managed to pick these up fairly cheaply, can't remember the exact price, I think it was around £10–15. And yeah, nice flat pedals so that I can just rock my DCs or my Etnies or a pair of skate shoes and yeah, not have to worry about special bike shoes. So once I've got the bottom bracket and crank set installed, I'll be checking the height that I need the saddle using the crank at the bottom position and the pedal at the bottom position, and that'll give me my normal riding height, and then from there I'll fit the Hite Rite to drop 2.5 inches from that position. So that's the plan for today. So before I go ahead and fit the Shimano Hollowtech II bottom bracket cups, I'm just going to clean out the inside of the bottom bracket shell using this wire brush. Like it's like a little toothbrush size wire brush. So it's pretty good for getting into all of the threads in there. Just clean all that out. I mean, it's a very old bike, so I want to make sure there's nothing in there that's going to prevent it screwing in smoothly. So I've been over both sides of the bottom bracket shell using the wire brush, and the condition of the threads isn't looking too bad now. So I'm going to whack a load of grease on the threads and then fit the bottom bracket. So the cups of the bottom bracket are actually marked right and left, and they tell you which way to tighten as well. So you just got to make sure you've got a British standard bottom bracket or an Italian if you need that. Right hand side, tighten that way. So I always like to try and just screw it in by hand, make sure that it's going in cleanly. Oh, it's going in nice, it's going in smooth. Okay, we've got to a certain point, it's starting to stick, so I'll screw in the other one. So that's as far as it'll go by hand. One thing that I do always like to try and do when I'm using the bottom bracket tool, where is that? So this is the bottom bracket tool I have. Like I said, I don't have a torque wrench for this, but I know it needs to be like 40-ish Newton meters, so that's a lot of force. Even though this is plastic on the inside, it does leave the bottom bracket cups a bit mangled sometimes, so I do put a wipe, just a wet wipe in before I try and put it on. I'm going to hit the chainstay with the tool if I'm not careful, so I'll have to stop every turn. Right then, so I got the drive side fitted and I'd loosely fitted the non-drive side, but I've actually just gone ahead and removed the non-drive side cup because I'd forgotten to put in the Shimano Hollowtech II to Sram GXP adapter washer. So that converts it from 22mm on the spindle, so 22mm on the crank spindle here, to 24mm, which is what the inside diameter of the Hollowtech II Shimano Bottom Bracket Cup is. So yeah, I need to actually push this adapter shim into the inside of the bottom bracket cup before I install it. That will mean that it ends up looking like that on the actual spindle. So we'll just go ahead and do that now. First I'll just clean them up a little bit. Then I'll get a bit of grease, put that on the inside, put a bit around it. Hopefully I can push this in by hand, but I've never done one of these before, so it's just gone in there. Let's see if we can actually push it on with the spindle. So we've got the crank here, it's going to go there. Let's try and push it on. Right, so that's spinning smoothly now. It seems to have gone into place on the inside there. Just really push it all the way around, make sure it's on. But I think it's good. I think it looked lined up enough before. So right, we'll just go ahead and try and reinstall this on the non-drive side. Right, we'll just get a little bit of force coming down this way now to make sure that it's on tight. Okay, double check the other side. Yeah, so both sides are tight now, so we can try the crank. So I'm just going to put a bit of grease on the bearing surfaces on the crank spindle here, like that. I will chuck a little bit of grease inside both of the cups. And then we'll push this on. Okay, so that went on pretty well. Slightly concerning how close it is to the chainstay. We'll have to see how much closer that gets. Maybe putting the non-drive side crank on and tightening is the way forward here. So here's the non-drive side crank arm. It seems to be an 8mm Allen key bolt, and it wants 48 to 54 Newton meters of force. So we'll just try and install the non-drive side now, and hopefully by screwing on that Allen key bolt it'll pull the drive side across. So I'm starting off here with just a normal 8mm Allen key, and I'll move on to a torque wrench in a little while. Yeah, it's starting to grip and turn. Very, very close on the chainstays. That's concerning. The crank's gone completely stiff. I don't know why that is. This is not working out well. The crank's gone completely stiff. I don't know why that is. I'm just going to try and tighten it as much as it's meant to be tightened. So I've got an 8mm here. Got the torque wrench here, and it said 48 to 54. So we'll just set that up. Something doesn't seem right here at all. The crank's just got completely rigid. So the bottom bracket is rigid right now. So I'm guessing that's probably something to do with the shim. So anyway, let's take off this non-drive side crank arm and also probably the non-drive side cup, so we can adjust the shim inside it. So that's the non-drive side back off. Yeah, the drive side is just stuck rigid. I don't really know why that is. It smells bad. It's looking like I might have to get a GXP bottom bracket. Maybe I'll see what happens if I just try and take the non-drive side cup off. So the issue I'm having here is that I was concerned that the crank arm might hit the chainstay, but actually what's ended up happening is that when I screwed the two cranks together, they just went rigid. So I think maybe the washer that I've been using is no good. I'm not sure, but I need to get to the bottom of this. So I need to try and take off the non-drive side bottom bracket cup. I really don't know what's going on here, but it's not good. Not good at all. It's definitely something to do with the washer, because it's like the washer's causing it to bind and be stuck there. What's it doing? So the shim that I tried to use to convert the Hollowtech II into a GXP is just totally seized inside the non-drive side bottom bracket cup. Like totally seized. I'm not sure what to do now really. I might have to buy a GXP bottom bracket. So, just a bit of an update. It's 2 o'clock in the morning and that has been a panicked couple of hours. I've managed to remove the Shimano bottom bracket cups that had the Hollowtech II to GXP adapter washer in there. That washer has just got jammed inside the bottom bracket cup and gone rock solid, just rigid, no movement whatsoever. So that meant that the crank got stuck. The drive side spindle got stuck in there. So I basically had to undo the non-drive side cup with it dragging against the spindle the whole time. Got the non-drive side cup off, and then it felt like the spindle was wedged in solid, but I managed to use this trusty piece of wood to smack the spindle back out so that the drive side cup was also able to be removed. So yeah, that's filled me full of terror, because obviously this bike now, with it being for the competition, is more precious than ever. And yeah, there's various warnings on those adapter shims that they could damage the cranks and they could damage the bottom bracket, but I found one that had a list of bottom brackets that weren't compatible with it, and the BBR 60, I think it is, the Ultegra bottom bracket that I was using wasn't on the list, so I assumed it would be okay. I followed the instructions of how to insert it into the inside of the bottom bracket cup, but yeah, it just didn't work at all. So yeah, for the sake of £4, I've actually spent £4 on the adapter washer shim now, destroyed a bottom bracket that cost me 12 quid, wasted 16 quid there, and then I'm going to be spending £30 now on a GXP bottom bracket. So what I've done is I've actually gone on Halfords, which there's a few Halfords stores here in Sheffield in the UK, and I can collect one tomorrow morning at 11 AM. So I'm going to go and pick up a GXP bottom bracket, and fingers crossed, it works out okay. The only other issue was clearance, so the chainstay clearance might be an issue with the crank arms hitting that. If that is the case, then I've seen Eric actually take a grinder to the end of a crank arm many a time, so that might have to be something I'm going to consider, but I don't want to think about any of this anymore tonight. I need to go to bed and then get up tomorrow, go to Halfords, pick up the correct GXP bottom bracket. I know that those GXP bottom brackets do have a couple of kind of 2mm, 2.5mm I think, spaces in there, which is the difference between a road crankset with a spindle that's 70 deep and a mountain bike crankset that's 75 deep. They're the two SRAM standards that I'm aware of, but it's whether I can use those spaces to just give me extra clearance or not. So that's something I'm going to have to investigate tomorrow, but two possible options there: one, using the spaces; two, taking the grinder to my brand new cranks. Well, they're both options. It's too late to do anything else now. The order's placed. I can pick it up tomorrow at 11, and hopefully that provides a solution. So good night for now.